So you're running a company where you sell hardware to clients, whether it be for businesses or consumers. And it's usually custom hardware or something built specifically to their needs or tailored to their needs. Now, it's important to get a deposit for the hardware up front, simply because if you don't, you are the one that's responsible for that bill. Once you bought that hardware, you are responsible. You are out that money until the client pays you. Now, the reason that I'm making a video on this is recently I had a situation where this deposit thing actually saved me from losing some money in a small company that I run dealing with other small businesses doing network administration and things like that for them. Now, what it was a whole bunch of computers, hard drives, and UPSs. So it was a decent sized bill because there was, I believe, 34 computers and UPSs and more hard drives than that, because we ended up putting 4 hard drives per computer because of the data, plus hard drives for their network to upgrade that. So, decent sized bill. And part of the reason why I got the deposit was I've heard enough horror stories from other people where they're on the line, then they have this hardware sitting around. And as a business, that's lost money unless you can resell that to someone else. But there's a good chance that you won't be able to sell those specific products, if it's a computer, to another client anytime in the near future, unless you have a really large client base. But I'm assuming that most people don't have a large client base. Like, mine currently is enough to give me a decent amount of money every month, but not a crap ton of money. Now, when you're signing the contract, always get a contract for any hardware you're going to be installing. Same as when you do labor, you should get paid when you're done, not at the end of the month. And I'll do another video on that as to why that is, but it pretty much comes down to people trying to run from their bill. The same thing happened here with the hardware. So we got the hardware, and then they decided that they did not want it. So they tried to tell us we need to give them a refund and keep the hardware and return it. Well, here's the thing. Through who we buy it from, you can't really return the hardware unless it's defective. That's part of the stuff you agree to. Now, this would have left us with thousands of dollars worth of equipment and no money to show for it. But thankfully, because we had that deposit, what it allowed us to do was take and just say, okay, fine, we're not dealing with this client anymore. Here's your hardware client, and we are done with you and will not be working with you again because you want to run out on your bill. So the deposit really saved us, and it's something that I know I'm repeating it. I know that it probably, you've got the idea by now, but it's something I really want to pound home, because if you don't, you could be on the line for that bill. And as a small company, that amount of money, I'll just put it this way, it was north of $5,000. And because of how small the company is, that amount of money was a major deal. That's part of the reason why I got the deposit, is because we don't have that kind of cash as a company sitting there to be able to buy the hardware and then get paid from the client. We need to get paid from the client, then go get the hardware. That is as much to protect us from them running on the bill as it is for actually being able to afford to buy the hardware itself. We have enough money sitting there that we can ride out a certain amount of time if stuff doesn't happen how it's been going or hasn't been growing how we're expecting it to, a whole bunch of other things. We have money for that set aside, but not to buy hardware for clients. And I don't really want to ever get to a point where I'm buying the hardware for the client ahead of time, unless it's like hard drives. Hard drives are one thing that we just buy in bulk and we stock them, and then we resell them to the clients with a markup. And that markup is fairly substantial, because no one likes to pay for labor. They like to pay for material costs. So that's one way of making profit there. But that's aside from the point of this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you got the point that you really need to get deposits for everything. I don't care what it is, if it's hardware, if it's for labor, if it's for like contractual labor, like I'm going to do 20 hours a month for blah blah blah. You want them to pay you at the beginning of it, not at the end. That way you're not doing the work without being paid. Like I've had times where I'll go work for 16 hours, 20 hours, and then I'll be done and I'll ask them to pay me, and they're trying to argue the bill and it bounces or whatever, and they don't pay. So I just don't go back to that client, but I've only lost that amount of time. Compared to if I did, say, 4 service calls like that throughout an entire month, and then they decide to bounce on it and not pay, that's a lot more money that I've lost as a company, and it's definitely harder because I still have to pay labor costs. And when you're running it small, that labor cost is a huge hit to you. When you don't have extremely high profit margins and you're still paying a lot of extras for stuff you really are just trying to build the company with. As always, leave a like down below, and while you're down there, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about the video. Do you run a small business? If so, what kind of business do you run? And subscribe for more videos like this, tech reviews, and other tech videos. I'll see you in the next one.